Welcome everyone to Things Around 8. Dear friends, in this video we will talk about the entry into service of the F-16 in Ukraine. Now that the fighter is finally operational, what can we expect? And if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe now and activate the notification bells so you don't miss any news. This Sunday, August 4th, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky officially presented the F-16 fighters in Ukraine. The presentation took place at a Ukrainian air base whose location is obviously secret, with 2 F-16 fighters in the background and 2 others flying over the facility. At the ceremony, President Zelensky thanked his allies and said that the arrival of the fighters represents an important milestone in increasing the capabilities of the Ukrainian Air Force at one of the most critical moments of the Russian invasion. According to various sources, 10 F-16 fighters have been delivered and are already in operation by Ukraine, with another 65 expected to be delivered over the next few weeks. But where did the F-16 fighters that are already in Ukraine come from? Where will the rest come from? And most importantly, what role will they play and what can we expect from them from now on? According to several experts who analyzed the photos of the aircraft, the Ukrainian fighters are equipped with the same IFF antennas that are equipped with the Danish fighters. These antennas are important for differentiating friendly from enemy aircraft during aerial combat. The front landing gear has features that are also commonly found on Danish F-16 fighters, which indicates that the fighters that the Ukrainian Air Force received are from Denmark. The fighters that are important to remember are the A version, modernized within the framework of the MLU program, thus receiving the designation AM. Therefore, these are first-generation F-16 fighters, produced between the late 1970s and early 1980s, belonging to the Block 10 and 15 standard. They were profoundly modernized in the 1990s, through the installation of much more advanced avionics, with emphasis on communication, navigation and the ability to receive more advanced weapons and electronic warfare signals. Therefore, it is important to highlight that the F-16 fighters that Ukraine has received, and will continue to receive from Denmark, Belgium, the Netherlands and Norway, are far from being the most modern in the world. But they are also far from being the most outdated, with these aircraft equipped with systems that were developed precisely to face the fighters that Russia is now using against Ukraine. Therefore, in terms of technology, the Ukrainian F-16s and the Su-27, Su-30 and MiG-29 fighters that form the backbone of the Russian Air Force in Ukraine are equivalent, with Russia only technologically ahead with its Su-35. As this is a fighter considered very expensive by Russian standards, its use in Ukraine is more limited, with Russia losing 6 of these fighters, each with an estimated price tag of between $60 and $70 million. Therefore, one of the consequences of the arrival of the F-16 in Ukraine could be an increase in the presence of the Su-35 in an attempt by Russia to regain technological leadership in terms of fighters in that theater of operations. But what exactly does Ukraine intend to do with the F-16s? From what we have seen so far, the answer seems to be a bit of everything. During the presentation ceremony, 2 F-16s flew over the airbase, armed with short and long-range air-to-air missiles. This means that Ukraine intends to use these fighters not only to carry and launch long-range air-to-ground missiles, but also for short and long-range air combat, with the aircraft armed with the AIM-120 Amarin, a missile that, depending on the version, has an estimated range of between 120 and 180 kilometers. Even if the version installed on the Ukrainian fighters is the B, its range of 120 kilometers is already enough to prevent Russia from launching its terrible glide bombs. Those who follow the channel know that Russia has been increasingly using the so-called glide bombs against Ukraine. Basically, free-fall bombs with a GPS navigator kit and retractable wings that give them a range of up to 70 kilometers. This means that Ukrainian F-16 fighters, armed with AIM-120s with a range of 120 kilometers, will push the Fusos bombers beyond the range of their glide bombs, reducing the risk they pose to Ukraine. Another use for these fighters will be to intercept cruise missiles. As I have explained in other videos on the channel, cruise missiles fly very low, preventing them from being identified at long range by ground-based radars. However, because the fighters fly at a very high altitude, their radars can detect these missiles up to 150 kilometers away, and the fighters can intercept them directly or transmit the location of the threats to Ukrainian air defenses on the ground. But in addition to preventing Russian bombers from approaching with glide bombs and intercepting cruise missiles at long range, the F-16 fighters could also be used in traditional dogfights between fighters, better known as dogfights. Since Ukraine has many air defenses, I personally do not believe that we will see many dogfights, since Russian fighters no longer risk entering deep into Ukrainian airspace. The Russian Air Force is more limited to sending Su-25 ground attack fighters, which fly very low and escape long-range air defenses. But these encounters could occur mainly over the Black Sea, where the presence of air defenses is much smaller. Therefore, on a defensive level, the F-16 fighters will be very important for Ukraine to counter two threats in particular: glide bombs, which need to be launched at a maximum of 70 kilometers from their targets, and cruise missiles, which can now be intercepted with much greater safety and precision. The F-16 cannot be seen as a miracle weapon capable of profoundly changing the war. That will not happen, especially because the Russian Air Force remains very strong and active in that theater of operations. But it is a vector that, if used intelligently and strategically, will certainly contribute to increasing Ukraine's defensive capacity in the face of a Russian invasion. And if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe now and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any news.